Artastic Nation. So back to school is coming up, and that causes a lot of stress and anxiety for us, especially if we are new teachers. Now, new teachers means different for everybody. I considered myself a new teacher for a very, very, very long time, meaning many years before I started feeling like I got this. Like I had a groove and I knew what I was going to do at the end of the year, as well as the beginning of the year to really create a classroom that would function well throughout the entire year. Alright, so how do we get back to school planned efficiently so that way your year has a much better sailing, for example? So the first thing that you need to do is before the students come in, you need to have a game plan. First, go to your classroom and set it up. This is important. Have all the tables set up. Walk around and sit at different spots at these tables to make sure that if you were a student, you can see all the information that's being presented by the teacher. Okay, a lot of the time I'll just move a table and then realize it later that a kid can't really see what I'm doing, and that was my fault. Yeah. So another thing is that when you're setting up your classroom, feel free to be inspired by flexible seating options in your classroom. Just because it's an art classroom doesn't mean we can't pull in flexible seating options. Now, I know a lot of the times we're like, oh, can't have fabric, oh, can't have this, because, I mean, we have a lot of mess going on, and that's understandable, but there's lots of options for flexible seating, and this can problem solve a lot of things in terms of students who need the flexible options for allowing for movement and fidgeting. This will help them learn better too. And quick things that you could do is just ask your administrator if you can get one standing table. I did this at the end of the year. I said, hey, I need a rainbow table. I need a standing table. I'm getting more kids than expected, and I don't feel like my teacher desk is doing like anything, and I would rather just pull kids and work with them in small groups to make sure that they understand what's going on. And they said yes. Now, to be honest, for years I assumed I just wouldn't ever get that because I never asked. So, letting you know now, it doesn't actually hurt to ask. The worst they can say is no, and you'd be like, well, dear, I hope that you reconsider it later because I really would love to have flexible seating options in my room. Okay, so ask for a standing table. This is great because, as you know, it's very hard to sit down all day long. It's a lot of sitting, okay? So sitting down all the time is hard, especially for people who like to move and groove, which is like me. In the front of my room, I have a standing table where my projector is and where I do things under a document camera if I want to do demonstrations where everybody needs to see. So that would be one thing that you could do, is get a standing table. If you're in high school, you can totally go on to like Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist and see if they have like a bar table, like those higher tables with the higher chairs and stuff like that. Usually they sit like 4 people, and I think that'd be really, really cool in a high school setting. I would never do that in an elementary school for the obvious reason of kids falling. That would be scary. But in high school, could you imagine? Those guys need it sometimes, right? Especially if you're in just like a senior level school only. And you have just the higher level grades coming into your room. Like, that would be so cool. And you have just a couple of those in the back, and then your normal tables in the front. And that'd be giving them a space where they feel like they can really like connect to. Okay? Which is what a lot of this is, right? I think the kids would really appreciate that, and I think they would appreciate you a lot for introducing that into your room. Another thing you could do is getting stools and chairs. Stools and chairs are very different. I see a lot of times people posting on Facebook in groups, should I get chairs? Should I get stools? No, get both. Get lots of different varieties of seating options, okay? Sometimes people like to sit on stools and like to perch on stools. Sometimes people like to lounge on chairs. I hate stools, so if I went in, Wrong way around. I hate chairs. I love stools. So if I went into a classroom and all I have is a chair and I'm a very active and busy person, and I am, it's hard for me to allow myself to wiggle, right? Because stools are just different. Speaking of wiggling, you can also get stools that wiggle or rock on the ground, and that will allow some movement. I think they have those like wobble chairs nowadays too. I've seen popping up on Instagram. You can also get ball chairs. Yes, in an art room. I do that. I mean, I wouldn't have lots of them, but I would have a couple, I think. And then if you don't want to let the youngest kids sit on it, then you can just move those two away and then just talk to them about it. It's something that you earn when you're older. But I quite often use that, the ball chairs with my intermediates and up, and I never have problems. One, we treat them like chairs, so if I see any behavior where it's being treated as a ball and not a chair, it's now my ball chair, and that's it until the rest of the day, or for the next class, it's a reset, right? And so, yeah, they have to be respectful. No bouncing, they can wiggle. Bouncing, break, it's not going to last if they're being bounced on, and it's very distracting for me as a teacher to see that happening. So I talk to kids, and I actually model how we use ball chairs at the beginning of the year, so that way we all know, okay? But I encourage you to have flexible seating options in your room, so that way all learners feel like they can pick a spot that is best for their learning. And yes, you can do that in an art room, okay? So, as well, if you're a new teacher, remember that classrooms are not built or designed all at the beginning of the year. It takes a long time and many years for your classroom to evolve in terms of decorations, in terms of seating and tables, in terms of storage and how you organize and manage, and all the beautiful decor that you might be seeing right now on Pinterest and Instagram. That takes a long time and a lot of money. So take a deep breath. If you're looking at your classroom and it's looking really bare, remember you can add to it over time. It's okay. Just, you know what, you're an artist. You can make some really cool things to put on your wall. You can make a few posters. You can decorate a wall, like one feature bulletin board. I recommend for bulletin boards that you hang string like a clothesline with put little pins on it, so that way you can just clip up artwork instead of like stapling it constantly. And then when you want to take it down, you just go done. Okay, so just letting you know, that's what I like to do, because I don't like to spend lots of time taking out staples. It's painful for me. It's like folding laundry. Okay, another thing is that before students start, you need to plan your first day. That means that you need to think about the activities and what you're going to say on the first day of school. Okay, write it down. Get out a piece of paper, make a plan. This is what I'm going to do on the first day with these kids. Now, I would keep it pretty similar for all the grades. 1, introduce yourself. Let the kids know you're not a robot. Tell them like your passions, what you love to do on your spare time. Tell them about your dog or your cat or your goldfish. Tell them about that you love Star Wars or that you're a Trekkie. Whatever, okay? If you love video games, tell them. I mean, I would edit out certain video games, okay? I wouldn't be 100% honest. Like, do you really need the kids to know that you're playing Fortnite? Maybe. I mean, you could. Fortnite'd be okay, but, like, other ones, the ones that are, like, mature rated ones on the back, probably not. But just tell them that you love video games. Like, Mario, that's fine, whatever, okay? Let them know that you are a real person, that you don't live at school waiting for them to come every day. As much as you love them, you don't live there. And that you're not a robot, because they need to know this, because they need a person in front of them that they can connect to, okay? Connections with your kids is going to do a world of difference for your classroom management, because that's just how we grow respect, right? I care about my kids, and then the kids will eventually care about me too. But they need a reason to care if they want to listen to me, for some of them, right? It's not the same for all kids. They've all come from different places, and they all bring different suitcases of emotional baggage to class. Some of them have lives that are so difficult that I will never be able to understand, but I have empathy for them. And I really care about them, but sometimes it takes a lot for them to trust. Okay, so plan your first day. Talk about who you are. Don't go to town on classroom rules and procedures on the first day. One, lots of teachers are probably talking about that. So they're like, by the time they get to you, it's going way over their head, and it's gone, and they've forgotten. Okay? Two, they're really excited to be at school, and they're probably not listening. Three, they have as much stress and anxiety as you, because on the first day of school, both the kids and the teachers are very anxious and stressed out. Okay? So just remember, they're really just wanting to see their friends, and they're just happy to be there. Don't start going to town on classroom routines and rules yet. You can totally brainstorm some of them as a class in a discussion, but you don't need to go for the whole speech or modeling. Don't start modeling rules and procedures on the first day. You can remember oh, let's push in our chairs when remind them, push in your chairs when we get up, or who can show me how to line up at the door? Awesome. I love that you're walking so quietly or slow. You remember to push in your chair. Good job, guys. Who else can show me how to line up at the door? Of course, that is for elementary. But you do need to remind middle school and high school kids how to line up at the door too. Obviously not in the same way, but they shouldn't just be oh, it's almost 2:30. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I'm going to go wait at the door and go on my phone for the next 10 minutes and leave everything at my table. Messy. School. Okay? So make sure that you talk to them about what your end of the day looks like and your pet peeves in middle and high school level too. Okay? One way you can blow their minds on the first day is by drawing something epic on your whiteboard. Take advantage of it. You got a whiteboard and you got some art skills, so draw something really cool. And now I don't mean go to town and spend hours on this. Draw something cartoony that says welcome to so-and-so's art class. And then you can also make it interactive. You can have around the bubble, whatever, you have some bubble on the board around your drawing and words, and you can say, please write one thing you did this summer, or please add to the doodle, or write your favorite art medium or artist, whatever. Okay, find something interesting to write up on there. Okay, because it's going to really engage them when they walk in. Okay, it'll add some value to your skills. First day of art class, remember, keep the rules and routines to the minimum. You want to, when the kids come in, really get to know them. Okay, so when the kids come in, you're going to introduce them to the space. So take them around, show them where things are, what you might do in an art room, things you might create this year, and then you want to really get them focusing on exploring mediums and materials and getting to know each other. First day, first week, spend your time creating community. This is the most important thing for classroom management and for having a classroom that functions well through the year. The kids need to know who each other are, and they need to care. Spend this time getting to know your children. Spend this time letting the kids know who's in their room. Especially in the older grades where they come from different classes, they need to know who's in their room. They need to have connection. They need to care. Give them a purpose and a reason to care. So on the first day, introduce who you are. Give them a little spiel about what's going on in the art room, what you guys might do this year. This is my cool makerspace. This is the art supplies. We have a kiln, blah, blah, blah. And then talk about who you are, and just for a little bit. And then you're going to transition them, hopefully, into doing an activity where they make art. Okay? So you can put out some materials and mediums at each table. One, they can either just explore on their own. Two, you can have them do a collaborative art piece, so put out like a roll-size paper on tables and have them collectively or collaborate on one art piece using different mediums and materials. My go-tos for tables are like pencil crayons, wax crayons, oil pastels, random scraps of paper, random scraps of newspaper, those kinds of things, okay? So put that stuff out and let them play and explore. While this happens, your job is to float around to each table, sit down, talk to the kids, ask them their names, memorize names, ask them about their interests, get to know who your kids are, get to know their names, okay? And you can do this throughout the week. So the next day they come in, you guys might have a drama game to begin with, where they play a quick game. Everybody's doing museum in an art-themed version, okay? So they're all acting like statues or art pieces, whatever, or art mediums. And then you guys can go to your tables and do another exploration. This time you guys are going to create mini masterpieces, so the art piece can only be this big, or like a post-it note gallery where all the artwork is being created on post-it notes, and you're going to stick them up on a gallery wall. Okay, so now they're doing another activity, and again, your focus is to float around the room, get to know the kids, ask about their interests, memorize their names. On days 2, 3, 4, depending on how often you see your kids, now this is very different for every person, especially when you think about the different grades we all teach. Somebody in high school might be seeing their kids every day for an hour for a semester, and somebody in elementary school might see them like 30 minutes a week. Okay? So this will all vary for each person. Okay? So you're going to take what I say and make it work for you. But over the week, now you can introduce some classroom rules and procedures now that you've gotten to know them. Okay? So you've done some community builders. Now you're going to introduce some classroom rules and procedures. Okay, this is a big one because there's a lot the kids need to know. They need to know how to come into the classroom. They need to know how to wait their turn for your class, especially if you have kids or classes that are like back to back, some are waiting out in the hallway. They need to make sure or know how to line up and wait. And I would practice that. Like, I would take them outside. We're going to practice waiting outside in a line today. This is how I'm going to see you every day when you come in. When I open this door to greet you in, I want to see you guys standing quietly, being patient. When you come over me, we can give me a high five, thumbs up, or fist bump, okay? Whatever. But you need to talk to them, even if they're young. Not middle school or high school, but if they're young, take them outside and do this with them. They need to feel it and see it and hear it. Okay? So model lining up, to model, talk, and teach what the kids will do when they enter and start your class. Are they starting by themselves right away, independently on silent sketching, or are they just sitting there patiently, waiting for you to talk to them? They need to know what to do when they sit down in your room and how to come into it. Are they going to a specific spot, or are you like me, where you don't have a seating plan? How do they choose a spot? And I can talk about how come I don't have a seating plan another video. So leave a comment in the comment section below the video if you're interested in that. Okay, so teach them that. Teach them how to line up at the end of the day. Teach them cleanup. What does cleanup look like? Does everybody have their own job? Is everybody collectively cleaning up in a way that is meaningful for them? So if you like to sweep, you just sweep. As long as it's all done 10 minutes and the timer is on, we're all good. So decide and teach them that. Teach them what to do when they're done their work. The kids need to know what to do when they're done their work. In my classroom, we read, relax, draw. I have some books there. But you might do something differently. Maybe you have sketchbook prompts in a jar. They grab a sketchbook prompt. They work on that in their sketchbooks. Maybe they have sketchbook assignments for each month. Whatever it is, they need to know what to do when they're done, because You should not spend your whole day having kids come over to you saying, I'm done, what should I do? No, they need to know what to do when they're done. They need to know where to hand in their work, what done looks like. Do they need to come show you before they hand it in? All these things. You need to decide on what you're going to teach them, and you should decide this before school starts, because you can't just show up into class and be like, all right, these are my rules, routines, and procedures, but you never actually thought about it beforehand. That'd be crazy. How can you teach that? So you need to think about what is important to you and what your rules, routines, and procedures are before back to school. Okay? So, you teach all that, and you have community builders. So, let's go back and rethink about the things about back to school that we need to know. 1, take a deep breath. It's just back to school. The rest of the year is when everything isn't going to happen. So that's more stressful. Back to school is not. All you need to do is make sure your room is set up, know your rules and routines and procedures so that you can teach them. Plan ahead. Plan your first week, plan your first day. If you really want to be efficient, you should have units planned for each grade group for the next first two units for each grade group. That should be done. You should have your year-long plan done. You should know where you're going in the year. You shouldn't just be like sailing open waters with no compass. That'd be crazy. You need to know what targets that you're focusing on in each month. You need to know which art projects and units are going to meet those targets. Okay? Build classroom community. Get to know your kids. Make sure they get to know you too. This is important. Okay? Play some games with them. Explore art. Make post-it notes, art pieces for a gallery wall. Make mini masterpieces, either sculptural with recycled materials, or make mini masterpieces with just an exploration of art mediums on just smaller size cardstock, cut even right in half. And yeah, that would be it. Okay, so take a deep breath. Back to school is really not, it's a big deal. You are setting the tone for the whole year. However, remember that you have the whole year to grow, to learn, to get to know the kids, to explore, to create, and of course to make mistakes, because we learn from our mistakes, and that's okay. So, as long as you have that first day, first week planned, you know what your routines and rules are, you have all this information in your head, and that you have your first 2 unit plans done for all your grade groups, and your year-long plan, you are ready to go. Okay? So, if you like this video, make sure that you give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel, as I will be giving you a lot more in-depth, detailed information on back to school, and more specifics on how to teach classroom routines and expectations, more about just how to plan your year-long plan, how to create art lessons, and all these kinds of things. But you're not going to be able to know this if you don't subscribe to my channel. Alright? See you later.